All right, what's up, guys? Welcome to this edition of Movers and Shakers Unlimited. I'm your host, Brandon Troy, and as you know, we have a special guest joining us now. So let me bring them on. Give me a second. Actress Celeste M. Cooper. How you doing, Celeste?
I'm good. I'm good. How are you doing?
I'm good. I'm good. As you guys know, if you guys were checking out the promo that we had, I have actress Celeste M. Cooper from the film Range Runners. Celeste, I had a chance to see the film. I enjoyed it quite a bit. So, can you
Oh, great.
just, yeah, absolutely. So, can you just start first by talking about hiking the range, so to speak, joining this project?
Like how I joined this project?
Yes.
Yeah, sure. So I actually am with Panessa Talent Agency. So Panessa got me an audition at Pascal Rudnicki PR casting in Chicago, and as soon as I saw the sides that I had, I immediately was like, okay, yeah, I can do this. And yeah, I went into audition, and then I got a call back. And I learned there the callback only consisted of me actually doing physical work. So I'm running, I'm doing, practicing stunt stuff with our stunt coordinator, Aaron Crippen, who's amazing. And I learned, yeah, I was the only one called back for the role. So the director at the end of that callback was just talking to me about, yeah, when we shoot in Southern Illinois, when we do, and I was like, wait, like, did I book it? Or like, because I was just so confused. Like, I was like, oh, okay, well, maybe people auditioned before me, like, it's just
Right.
me and the producers and the director, but like it's just me right now. So it was pretty cool.
Yeah, and I mean, you kind of jumped ahead and commented on what I was going to ask next. I mean, this role in this film is such a physical role. So, can you talk about the preparation that was necessary to be able to bring it to life? Because it is
Yeah.
very physical.
Yeah, absolutely. I have a sports background. I played basketball, volleyball, and track
Oh,
growing up.
basketball shout out. Okay,
Uh,
okay,
yeah,
okay. All right, all right.
actually watching The Last Dance right now is awesome. Anyways, shout out to the Bulls. I basically, so having that kind of background and actually going into theater the way I did and just becoming a theater person, period. I've always been very, very physical. And I think it's just because I have that history, right? But I actually was working on a show at the time. So I was working on a play at Steppenwolf Theater Company where I'm an ensemble member at, and it was very, very physical, where I'm like sword fighting and doing all types of things. And I'm literally running throughout that play. And it was really funny because I actually wasn't scheduled to be in that show. It was something that I got thrown into at the last minute. But it ended up being really great conditioning. So alongside of that, for a couple months, I was working. I had a handful of stunt rehearsals with our stunt coordinator, Aaron Crippen. But I also have a really amazing stunt double who did some of the really intense stunts that that I was like, I don't know about that, y'all. So like Kia Houston, so she did those. But yeah, between the show and working with Aaron, I actually got really like my stamina built up, my conditioning, everything worked really nicely together because as soon as we closed that show, I was on the train heading to Southern Illinois to shoot the next day for Range Runner. So it just kind of went directly into another thing and it worked out.
Awesome, awesome. And to speak just beyond even the physical preparation for the character and talking about the psychological preparation for that character, can you speak to that? Because there are a lot of moments in this film that say a lot about the character. And even, it's funny, even one of the antagonists, they comment on it, is that idea of restlessness, because in watching the film, one moment that comes to mind is, and it seems like a pretty mundane thing, but it speaks a lot, is the scene at the beginning of the film when you and your sister, you guys are there in the hotel, and
Yeah.
you do not sleep on the bed. Like you're sleeping next to the bed, lying next to the bed. So I'm like, wow, that's interesting. That says a lot about that character. So can you talk about that and that character's constant idea of
Yeah.
movement and not really keeping still?
Yeah, so it's so interesting. So there's parallels between my actual life with Mel, and then there's also not. So, like I said, the thing that drew me to this part that I was like, oh yeah, I can do this, was the fact that this woman had a track background and she also had a father that pushed her, to be the best that she could be in sports and all that types of stuff. And I also had that father who was the warden of Joliet Correctional Center. So it was a very intense relationship that I had. So I completely understood that. Like I completely understood being pushed, and I also understand being like, I understand that busyness. I'm someone that likes to have my hands in a lot of things and do a lot of things, and it's kind of hard for me to like completely be still. But hers is in a different way. I feel like she's searching for something, right? There's something like she's trying to find herself. And I think we all of us are like always on a journey of finding a new, more information about ourselves. You know what I mean? I think that is something that everyone goes throughout their life of like, oh, like I'm so much better than I was a year ago. If you knew me 5 years ago, you wouldn't want to mess with me then. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like we all have that type of thing. And Mel just she made me think of someone that was like extremely introverted, extremely like, you know what, I'm gonna go hike this trail, I'm gonna prove to myself that I'm everything I'm supposed to be. And like, and I really think that was her mentality. And there was no thing as rest. Like, what do you mean rest? Like, I have to make a good time, I have to make it to the next thing. And her, even in that scene, her sister and her, they don't understand each other, like it makes perfect logic to Mel to live the way she lives, but her sister's like, you kind of sound a little crazy. So not everyone's going to understand why you do what you do. And I think as long as you hopefully understand and it is positive, you got to do that thing. So that's kind of how I feel.
Absolutely, absolutely. And in talking about the various moments in this film, and having a chance to have other folks see it, how has that experience been of having having folks see it? Because there are, I feel, so many moments in here that it inspires folks to actually talk, and you can attest to this. Talk to the screen like, no, don't do that. Don't do that.
Yeah. I had so much fun. This role, it was fun to shoot. It was very hard to shoot, but it was very fun, because I really enjoyed working with everybody a part of that team. Uh, but there was something about showing people that I never imagined how beautiful that would feel. Just to be in the audience and to hear the reactions. And it was always so fun because we were in film festivals all last year. And so the different audiences and the reactions, and when I had friends in the audience and they're like, don't do that, Celeste. And I'm like, it's not Celeste, it's Mel. You know what I mean? Like, like we're okay, y'all. Like, I'm good.
Right,
Like,
right.
and I actually, the first time I actually saw the film, I saw it with my mom and dad, and I was sitting in between them. So it was really interesting. My father just kept whispering, like, yeah, I used to talk to you like that with all the flashback moments. And then my mom was just like, oh, no, Celeste, don't do, she was like freaking out, thinking that something was going to happen to me when I'm like, I'm right here. So I just enjoyed the fact that we take people on a journey. That is something that I'm like, oh, okay, we're doing our job. The fact that you feel, or you think you feel what I'm feeling, like, or that in that moment is like beautiful, especially when you can see that I'm okay. I'm right here next to you and you're like cringing and on the edge of your chair and screaming to the screen. And I'm just like, I couldn't ask for a better blessing, especially even just the love that I would receive after the screenings, and the people that send me messages. I just was like, oh my gosh, this is so much, an overwhelming but beautiful thing that I never could have imagined. Yeah.
Awesome, awesome. And as you said, and having audiences see it, and now it's in a different category now with everything that's been going on. Obviously,
Yeah.
can you speak to what now that this film is is still having its run. You know, what's up next for you? Are you placing doing films on the back burner? Are you going, hopping back in the theater, or are you going back and forth? Are you balancing it out?
I'm always interested in more TV and film. So whoever's tuning in today, if they want to
Sure.
hire
There you
me,
go.
I'm
Right.
not I'm not here to like say no to something like that. No,
Absolutely.
I have such a large background of theater that part of me actually is I am I'm more interested in TV and film at this point, because it's something about it that like I'm always like finding out something. I'm always learning something. There's always something, not that I don't have, I'm not able to dive deep and really investigate and figure out these different things with theater, but there's a lot of elements behind the scenes and, when I'm there working on these shows that I know about, right? And so there's something about the TV and film world that I'm always still learning different things. And I find it fascinating. I love learning. And I love staying curious. And one of my favorite things also about TV and film is that I can do an emotional, intense scene, a couple takes, and I don't ever have to do that again. But when I'm in theater, I'm doing that 8, 9 shows a week for a couple months. And so I'm like, this is more what I need to be doing, it because it also pays a lot more. So, but I'll still always have a love for the stage, and I definitely am not going to say no to that. But I'm more interested in TV and film at this time.
Cool.
I mean,
And
we'll
I
see
was
what the
gonna say,
pandemic means.
yeah, no, I got you. And to speak further to that, are you able to comment on what, some of those projects are now that sets are starting to slowly open back up currently?
Yeah, so we're still figuring things out. I mean, I have a recurring role in Chicago PD, and I haven't heard anything. I know that there's just a lot of stuff that's kind of been put on pause for that, but I am like working on like a video, like short film type of thing with Steppenwolf Theater Company that will probably be available like late September, early October. And then there's some producing things that I'm doing that with another person, Tanikia Carpenter, where we're basically honoring icons in the Chicagoland area from Woodlawn, and specifically who grew up there, which was Muhammad Ali and Lorraine Hansberry and Emmett Till and Mamie Till. So we're kind of really just focusing in on honoring these icons and just figuring out ways to be creative, because so much has been put on pause. But that restlessness part of myself needs to stay creative, needs to stay busy and active. And so I've actually been almost more busy. I've been busy in more ways than I have through this pandemic and through everything that is happening emotionally up and down through this time, that I'm figuring out ways to always like be a light and bring people together, connect people, and tell stories the way that I think they need to be told.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So with that being said, Celeste, I want to thank you so much for coming on to the show
You're
and
so
talking
welcome.
about film.
Yes.
Can you, before I let you go, can you tell folks where they can find you?
Yes. So you can find me on Instagram, Celeste M Cooper, or _B_that_light_. And you can also check out my IMDb page. I try to keep that up to date.
All right. Well, there you guys have it.
Yeah.
Again, I'm so happy to have Celeste M. Cooper,
Thank
actress Celeste
you.
M. Cooper, on. I'm your host. I'm your host, Brandon Troy of Movers and Shakers Unlimited. You can find us on Facebook, obviously, what you're watching now with this show. However, you can also find us on Instagram at Movers Shakers Unlimited, on Twitter at Move and Shake UNLTD. You can find me on Instagram at Brandon Troy _ENT, and also on Twitter at Brandon Troy ENT. So there you guys have it. Thank you guys so much for watching. Be safe out there.
Yes,
And
thank
see you
you.
soon.
Thank you so much, Brandon, and thank you so much. I hope everyone checks out Range Runners September 8th.
Absolutely. Catch you
Thank
guys later.
All
Bye.
right, bye.